Ladies and gentlemen, Stargirl has officially returned for season 2, and I can't even tell you how excited I am for season 2, because I remember back with season 1, going into it, I really didn't know what to expect. Then, after really just the first episode, and especially now after the whole season, it's become officially part of my top 10, maybe even top 5 TV series of all time. I loved it so much. I actually, speaking of that, I actually just rewatched season 1 this past week. I just finished it yesterday, of course, in preparation for season 2. And now, season 2, episode 1 has finally aired on the CW. And guys, we have got to talk about this episode because so much happens. And when I say so much, I mean like a lot, because literally every character has their own storyline, both returning characters and new characters, heroes and villains. Everybody has their own storyline. We get little like teases and sprinkles and hints and stuff to set up for the future of the season in this episode for, I think, pretty much every storyline here, and I just loved it so much. It's all over the place and chaotic, but in a good way, because there's so much going on here, and I'm so excited to see where Stargirl season 2 goes. But guys, again, we've got to be talking about this episode, and of course, spoiler warning, I do not recommend watching this video if you've not yet seen Stargirl season 2 episode 1 Summer School part 1. So let's get into this. So the episode actually starts off in like a really creepy way, because we start off with a flashback. It says decades ago, and this whole scene here, it was actually like a pretty long scene, and I was like, what is going on? Like, this is like an actually scary scene, and I had to keep checking, like, wait, is this Stargirl? And yeah, it was. It was a crazy scene, because again, we have a flashback where we have a little girl who is not allowed to go to the birthday party, because her mom doesn't want to and already spoils her enough and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden this little boy just pops up out of nowhere, and automatically I'm like, that boy's sus. Like, something is going on with this kid. Like, where did he even come from? And this boy is very mischievous, because he basically convinces this girl to go over to this birthday, not only go to the birthday party, but actually steal one of the presents. And just as he told her, oh, it's a nice little dolly, except it's like a demon dolly, and then when she looks again, it's a regular dolly. But then when she looks back up at the boy, he's like, oh, you've been a bad girl. Half his face turns like a blackish purple. His eyes start glowing. And then he holds up the Eclipso jewel, which of course is something we were teased with at the end of season 1, where we saw Cindy breaking into the ISA, I guess you could call it like storage unit, and she basically summoned and released Eclipso. So this is a flashback to probably one of the earlier cases of Eclipso claiming one of his victims. And we don't see if the girl actually dies or anything, but we can kind of assume that, because after that we do see her mother go over and look down at what we assume is her dead body, scream, freak out, oh no, the little girl is dead. Like, that was some dark stuff going on right there. But then we get a bit of a tease here, because then we flash back over to the mailbox of their home residence, and it does say McNider, which of course McNider is the last name of Charles McNider, aka the original Dr. Midnight, also Chuck, the AI voice inside of Beth's goggles. So, first of all, this was a nice way to set up Eclipso. We didn't really get too much else with that character in this episode. But also the whole McNider thing, I'm really interested to see where that goes, because I was not at all expecting that. But again, definitely really excited to see where this goes. And then we meet back up with the new JSA and, of course, Courtney, aka Stargirl, in present day, where they have just now taken down the Injustice Society of America. And Courtney is like really paranoid about all the villains. She's like, oh, there's more villains out there, and she's just completely ignoring school, and she's just taking this whole Stargirl thing too serious. It's consuming her life. And actually now we find out that even Mike, he wants to actually join the JSA, because then when we get back to the Whitmore residence, Pat and Barbara reveal that they're going on a family vacation to, I think it was Yellowstone, which honestly sounds really fun, but neither Mike nor Courtney want to go, because they're like, we've got work to do here in Blue Valley. And we did get a nice little reference here with Mike, because again, he was saying he wanted to like learn how to use Stripe and do some more stuff with the JSA and all that stuff. And because they're going on vacation, Pat is kind of like covering their bases to make sure that they're like covered and everything. and he reveals that Mike's buddy Jakeem will be covering Mike's paper delivery service while he's gone on vacation. Of course, Jakeem, we know in the comics, is Jakeem Thunder, the next character to take on the mantle from Johnny Thunder and use the Thunderbolt pen, which we were teased with multiple times in season 1. We know is coming in season 2. We saw it in the trailers. Jim Gaffigan is going to be voicing Thunderbolt, the actual phantom genie thing inside the Thunderbolt pen. And also, Jakeem has actually been cast for this season. Alcoya Brunson is going to be playing the character. I did a video on that a couple months ago when the news came out. So, again, we don't get to see the character, but there's a lot of setup and just references with stuff like that in this episode to set up for the rest of Stargirl Season 2. But after this, we get to meet up with our other JSA members and see what's going on in their lives, and again also start to set up some of their storylines as well, like with Beth, who we see is trying to reboot Chuck. It's not working out very well for her, and then things get even worse when she finds divorce papers, which is really unfortunate. Actually something I think I predicted, because I remember, I don't know if it was a month or two ago, I saw some sort of synopsis for Stargirl Season 2, and something in there mentioned that there was going to be a family tragedy or something, some kind of family drama when it comes to Beth, and I was like, you know what? I know how attached she was to her parents and how they were her best friends at the beginning of season 1. I guarantee they're getting a divorce, and that is exactly what's happening here. And, it's really unfortunate because, again, she has such a close relationship with them, but I'm definitely interested to see where this goes. And we do see more with her later in the episode where her parents are not coming home for dinner, but Chuck does actually reboot. He actually comes back online, and of course Beth is super excited because Chuck is basically her best friend, and then she puts them on and he's like, Beth? No, I don't know who you are, and he has no idea who Beth is, and then he shuts off. So I'm definitely interested to see where this is going to go in this season, because, I knew they'd have to get Chuck back, but I think this is an interesting way for it to be, they kind of maybe have to start the relationship over, or maybe they're going to find a way to get him back to the way it was before. I don't really know for sure. Then when it comes to Rick has a really interesting story in this season, because first of all, in school, it seems like he's actually doing great. He studied really hard for test. He got all the answers right on this test, but of course, because of his past, this teacher's like, no, I don't believe you. You probably cheated. And he's just so annoyed because he's like, look, I literally just saved this town, and now you're going to treat me like this. And again, there's some unfortunate stuff going on in these kids' lives. And another thing going on with Rick is that earlier in the episode, when he visits the tree where his parents, of course, were murdered by Solomon Grundy, he finds Solomon Grundy's footprints. And that was a big thing at the end of season 1, where he kind of, he let Solomon Grundy go. He did not kill him. He kind of got that closure with the character. But now he sees that Grundy is out there living in the woods. He sees the footprints, and we see at the end that he actually leaves, I think there's 3 or 4 different buckets of chicken for Solomon Grundy, and then we hear that he comes around. And that's so awesome because, again, it brings things full circle, because Rick is now gone from, trying to kill Solomon Grundy to now helping keep him alive and feeding him. Very similar to, definitely gives me vibes of Stranger Things when, Hopper was leaving out the Eggo waffles for Eleven. But yeah, definitely excited to see more Rick in this season. And probably Yolanda is, I think, maybe even the one I'm looking forward to the most. Because Yolanda, she's one of my favorite characters. I kind of have a crush on her because she's very attractive. You can't blame me, but yeah, because she is going through some PTSD in this season, because how it ended off with her character in season 1 is that she murdered Brainwave, and not only did she kill him, it was kind of self-defense, but she literally slashed his throat, which was very graphic and very brutal for her. So she's going through some PTSD, and she keeps saying, I keep seeing him, I keep replaying that moment in my mind, I keep hearing his voice, and she actually goes to church and goes in one of those little confession booth things, and she doesn't even do it. It seems like she's been coming in there repeatedly into those confession booths, but doesn't want to actually confess. She just wants to sit there, and she just cries and cries. It's hard not to feel bad for her, because she's just going through so much right now. And I do think that maybe this break from the JSA is especially going to help her, but I have a feeling this is also actually going to tie her into Eclipso, and because of this darkness inside her, she is going to succumb to the darkness and the control of Eclipso. So, alright, we caught up with our new JSA members. What about our new ISA members? Which will make sense, as we saw at the end of the episode. But basically the kids and the children of the ISA. So first of all, Cameron, of course, his father just died. And we never really got to see his reaction to that. The character didn't even show up in the season 1 finale. But he's... he kind of seems fine. Like, you can tell, like, he's going through it. There's probably been quite a bit of time that's passed since then. But Courtney hasn't talked to him since then. And then she finally does talk to him when he is actually painting a mural in honor of his father. And it's been teased that there's going to be a little bit more romance in Stargirl Season 2. And of course, this was a little bit of a relationship in Season 1, Cameron and Courtney. So I'm really interested to see, like, how things are going to go for this couple, especially because... Courtney is so tied to his father's death, but he doesn't know anything about that. He doesn't know the truth. And you even see in the distance, his grandparents are actually talking to each other and saying, like, oh, maybe we should tell him. And then the other one's like, no, we shouldn't, because look at him. He's smiling. He's finally happy. He makes her happy. I mean, she makes him happy. So it's just so... There's so much sadness and depression here. I mean, this is a depressing town, but yeah, they've gone through some stuff. But as for the other, again, new children of the ISA, we do see Courtney run into Isaac, of course, the son of Anya Bowen, the fiddler, and we also get to see her run into Artemis as well, who thinks her parents were framed, and that's why they're in prison now, and she actually ends up getting sent to the principal's office, where she finds out that she now has to take summer school because she failed a bunch of classes, because again, this whole life as a JSA member, as Stargirl, is just consuming Courtney's life. She doesn't have time for anything else. She's just completely ignoring school, and now she has to do summer school. And because of that, the family vacation trip has now been canceled. And because of that, Pat actually goes in to check in with Zeke, who is a character introduced here who was actually going to take care of Pat's garage while they were gone on vacation. And of course, when Pat finds him, of course Zeke discovered Stripe. I mean, it's honestly not that hard. Pat was like, oh yeah, dude, just don't go in that other room. Of course he's going to go in that other room. So he did. He found Stripe, and surprisingly, he's not freaked out or anything. He's like, I don't even want to know what you used this for. But he's like, I'm going to go get my toolbox so we can do some upgrades. And he's like, oh, we'll add a flamethrower and a BB gun and all this stuff, which honestly sounds pretty awesome. I think we actually saw the flamethrower in one of the trailers. So this was not something I was expecting, but I guess Zeke is going to be sticking around with the JSA for a while in this season, which is, again, not something I was expected, but we'll see how it goes. And one of the big cliffhangers at the end of Stargirl Season 1 was with Sylvester Sylvester Pemberton, yeah, that's how you say it. It turned out he was alive, or is he? We still don't really know for sure if this is actually the real Sylvester Pemberton, but at the end of Season 1, he was looking for Pat, and we see now that he shows up at a diner, and he confronts Maggie, who we find out is actually Pat's ex-wife, because he says, I'm looking for your ex-husband, the one who likes stripes. So, seems like this is Pat's ex-wife, maybe even the mother of Mike. And that's another cool character that, again, I was not expected to be introduced here, but she is. And also this whole thing with Sylvester Pemberton, again, I have no idea where this is going. Some of the reviews that I've watched for people that have seen, like, I think it was like 6 episodes of this season, have said that the Sylvester Pemberton storyline is definitely a slow burn. So it's definitely going to be some little sprinkles here and there, just like how we only got one scene in this episode. But, it's enough, because we've got so much going on here that I feel like it's enough to keep you fed until next week's episode. But now, guys, let's talk about the ending of this episode with Green Lantern. We saw previously in the episode that the Green Lantern, like the actual lantern, started lighting up and glowing, and we're like, oh, what's going on here? And then at the end of the episode, Courtney, she's like, I don't remember if she was asleep, but she was, it's nighttime. And all of a sudden it sounded like somebody has broken in their house. She goes downstairs, she has the cosmic staff, and somebody has broken into the house and stolen the Green Lantern lantern and also the Green Lantern ring. So Courtney ends up battling this person, and at the end of it, Pat and Barbara and Mike, they all show up because, again, it's the middle of the night, everybody was sleeping. Of course, they're going to be making a bunch of racket down there fighting with Green Lantern versus Stargirl. So they're like, what's going on here? And then the battle ends, and this person says, I'm Green Lantern's daughter. And of course, this is Jade Scott, the daughter of Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, who we're assuming is dead based off the first episode of Stargirl, where the ISA took out most of the JSA. And now she has come to take what is truly hers with the Green Lantern and the Green Lantern ring, which I'm really excited to see because, I love the character of Green Lantern and just like Green Lanterns in general. It's been so long since we've seen Green Lanterns in live action. I mean, the Green Lantern movie, which really wasn't great, so that also really gets me excited for this upcoming Green Lantern HBO Max series and the Green Lantern Corps movie that we're getting. But I'm super excited to see finally another Green Lantern live action, and also just, the little bit of we saw of her powers in action here were just so amazing, so beautiful. I absolutely loved it. But probably my favorite part of this episode was the ending where we catch up with Cindy. Yes, she was able to escape the ISA headquarters, but now she is re-entering, of course, through the school entrance, and she goes back into the ISA HQ, and she opens this folder that says Injustice Unlimited. And at first I was like, oh, what is this? What's it going to be? And as I talked about a lot in season 1 with what I wanted to see in season 2, it's basically the Injustice Juniors, the new Injustice Society of America, where it's a folder of all of the Injustice Society's children. Again, as I was talking about earlier in this video, with how we caught up with them as well. So, of course, first she picks up the picture of Henry King Jr. and she just rips it in half because he is dead, and at this point I doubt he's coming back. I would love for that to happen, but doesn't look very likely at this point. And then you've also got Artemis, the daughter of both Tigress and Sportsmaster, as well as Isaac, the son of both Fiddlers, both the male and female Fiddler, and also Cameron, of course, the son of Icicle, who in the comics becomes Icicle Jr. So I'm really excited to see if he is actually going to turn into a villain this season and see his downfall. I'm really, really excited to see that. I really like Cameron in the first season. I'm just excited to see more of that character in general, and also just, to see his journey into becoming Icicle Jr. and learning about his powers and all that stuff. But then finally, the final picture is actually of Mike, which was, what? This was the biggest, most confusing thing here that I was like, wait a sec, what is going... So, what does this mean? I mean, at first, I didn't really pick up on this. I was like, wait, what? Why is Mike in there? Is it just because, like, oh, he doesn't have powers, so he's not part of the JSA? But then I started thinking about it. But this is a folder of all of the children of the ISA. So, is he a child of the ISA? I mean, I don't really know, because... I mean, his father is Pat, unless we're going to find out that for some reason he was adopted and Pat is not his real father. But then again, this could connect back to our interaction between Sylvester Pemberton and Maggie with, I don't know, maybe she was a member of the ISA. I don't really know what's going on here, but something is crazy. And of course, let me know your theories on this in the comments. But do you think he's the son of one of the ISA members? I don't really know. Would it be the Shade, maybe? I really have no idea. It was really confusing, but also, again, gets your wheels turning thinking about this, like, oh, things are getting crazy and going down here. And then finally, the episode ends with Cindy taking out, again, the Eclipso jewel, and Eclipso saying, I'm ready to serve you. And, of course, she is going to unleash Eclipso on Blue Valley, as he is the main villain of Stargirl Season 2, alongside the Shade, who we didn't get anything from in this episode, but I'm also really excited for him. But... Wow, guys, this was such a great episode. I'm so excited to be back with Stargirl. Weekly episodes. This is so fun. I mean, especially since, before it was like a DC Universe show that also just happened to be airing on the CW, but now it's specifically just a show for the CW, and I'm happy to report that, like, the quality has not gone down at all, and it's just so awesome. This was so exciting. Obviously, this is a longer video than I usually do, but again, because there was so much to talk about, there's so much being set up here, and I'm so excited to see where everything goes. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about Stargirl Season 2, Episode 1, Summer School, man, I mispronounced it again. Summer School, Part 1. Yeah, that's how you say it. And of course, all your theories as to where all these storylines are going to go in this season. And guys, of course, stay tuned for my Superman Lois review and breakdown as well. Returning for the last, I think, 2 episodes of the season. Super excited for that too. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.